Outdoor wood furniture is exposed to a lot of the elements, and the worst one is moisture. Moisture can get into the wood and cause rot. I've got a picnic table I'm going to repair. I'm going to show you how I do it.
As a furniture repair business, we're opening the doors to our workshop to show you the tools and techniques to repair furniture.
What I need to do is take that apart, repair it, and put it back together so I can get this chair in working order.
We give you tips to make your repair projects easier. Let's get into the workshop and start fixing furniture.
I'm on site today at a customer's home, and they've got a picnic table here that's missing some parts and has some rotted wood. I'm going to show you how I replace those parts and get this table in working order. There are a few boards in this tabletop that are rotted out, so I need to replace them. Here there's an upright missing, and you can see here the wood is rotted out, so I'm going to replace this bottom section as well. Sometimes repairing outdoor furniture is unpredictable, and I sure got a surprise when I took this screw out. While the seats on this picnic table are pretty solid, this top is just shot. The problem is the way it was constructed. This top is a beautiful design, but unfortunately there are supports that run this way. And the problem with that is, when you look underneath here, this is capturing all the moisture. So the seam here, the moisture is going inside, and it's rotting the boards, both the support board here and these boards underneath here. So unfortunately I can't rebuild this the way it's designed to make sure that it's going to last. What I'm going to do is run the boards this way with supports across this way to minimize the amount of space where the supports are between the gaps in the boards. I'm now back in the shop to create the tabletop and the replacement parts that are rotted out. I want to make sure that these parts look exactly the same as the old ones, so when the table goes back together, it won't look like a repair job. I'll show you how I round over these edges and get these parts put together. Here I'm using an acrylic semi-transparent stain, so I'll get to see the wood grain through this, but it's fairly dark. It's got to match the existing pieces. And it's acrylic, so I'm doing this in my shop. That means it's got lower chemicals, lower off-gassing than other type of finishes. So what I'm going to do is apply this on the underside of this tabletop and the supports. And that makes sure I've got good coverage on these pieces before they come in contact with each other. And that will help preserve the wood when the boards get wet and they need some time to dry out. So if I just put them bare wood to bare wood, that would open it up for opportunity for some rot. So this is just taking that extra step to make sure that this tabletop is going to last as long as possible. The finishing process for these boards is fairly straightforward. Just a few tricks. And what I do is load up the brush a little bit and cover off half the side, just spreading out that material, and then turning the brush sideways and just going back and forth. And at this point, don't worry about spreading out the material too much in terms of getting a consistent look. Just need to spread it initially, and then take one long pass with the brush, and that way you can see the wood grain through it. You don't see the brush marks. So I flip this over, and again I'm doing the underside of these boards, so the underside is the worst part of the board. The best side's on top. So the process doesn't take a whole lot. Pretty straightforward. Again, just making sure you run your brush across this, and this is a technique called tipping off, and that's just touching the surface of the finish to make sure you've got a nice smooth look. Now, I will have left a mark on this side here, right there, right there. Just a matter of taking the brush all the way across. So top flat surface is just a matter of spreading the stain out. Again, don't be worried about brush marks at this point. And if you do have a knot that's got a bit of a crack in it, then just put some finish in it and get it filled up. So once I've gone all the way across this, and I have finish on all the surface, then I'm going to go through that tipping off technique again. And I'll show you what the difference is. So if I just leave this like this, there's a bit of blotchiness that's happening through here. But by tipping off and going from one end to the other, you get a nice consistent look on that finish. And what that allows the wood grain to do is show through. It's not getting muddied up by the various strokes of the paintbrush. So that's it. Let it dry and you're done.
With the finish on the bottom of these boards all dry, I'm now almost ready to assemble. I have a 2x8 in the middle, everything else is a 2x6. And the reason I've got a 2x8 is I need to cut a hole in the middle for an umbrella, and I wanted to make sure I had enough meat on either side of that board so it would be stable. So I'll cut that hole first and then lay it out to assemble.
I've got the boards assembled the way I want them, and what I'm going to do is put spacers in between them as I assemble it to make sure I've got proper spacing in here and enough space for water to drain through and not trap moisture. Because I've sealed the bottom of this tabletop and the braces as well, as these go on, I'm going to have a sealed joint between the two, again, so I don't have rot establishing between the two pieces of wood. I'm going to be putting screws through these underneath, and that again helps prevent rot from happening through the surface where I'd have a screw penetration. So I've got 3 braces here, 2 for the ends and 1 for the middle. I'm going to use a framing square to make sure I've got everything nice and square, and then I can screw it all together and I've got the assembled top in one piece. I pre-drew holes in the support to make sure I don't split the wood. With the top flipped over, you can see here how I've got the boards spaced, and there's a few things left I have to do. First, I have to round over this saw cut out here, but also I'm going to profile the edge. This is the edge of the old table, and you can see here there's a nice profile here, and the customer wants that retained. So I've got a rotor bit that's exactly the same, so I need to run that around the outside of the table. Because I'm running this on the outside across the ends of these boards, I need to make sure that they're all level so that when the router goes across, that profile is the same on the end of each board. I've got 2 that are high, so I'll take those down with a plane and then start retting. To avoid tear out on the boards, I first of all trim the end, and then I can go across straight and not have any additional tear out. With all the parts ready, I'm excited to get on site and get this table put together. I've got the table on its side right now, so I can replace this bottom part and this upright. I've got the replacement parts all made, so once I've done that, I can then put the tabletop on. Well, this table is now in working order and all set to go. If you enjoyed this video and want to subscribe to our channel, you can click on the link over here and click on the bell icon. You'll get notified when our next videos come out. Thanks for watching Fixing Furniture.